I'm Alicia.
And I'm Maddie.
And welcome to the Fangirl Diaries, a podcast where we talk about our obsessions,
Reminisce about our teen icons,
and explore the books, movies, and shows that made us the incredibly nerdy 30-somethings that we now are. Hello, Maddie.
Hey, Alicia. How are you?
I'm good. This is an interesting recording scenario. Perhaps we should describe our setting.
Yeah, we're recording cross different countries. I am on holiday / working abroad from Italy. And you're back home.
Right decision. So the right decision.
It's so nice.
And I am sitting in the corner of my bedroom, trying to be loud enough to be heard on this recording, but also quiet enough not to wake my sleeping baby.
Oh, I'm sure even if he was woken, he would enjoy hearing the sounds of us talking about Downton Abbey.
Well, me and you have discussed this before, but sometimes in a moment where I just need to step out of the room for 10 seconds, I will put our podcast on, not because I'm that narcissistic, but because it has my voice and your voice, who he knows.
Oh,
happy with that.
That's so nice.
Either that or he's just really into Buffy deep dives.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to grow up with a deep knowledge, like deep within his brain somewhere, of like all of the episodes of Supernatural and Wicked.
He's going to know all of this. And to add to this today, we are doing another long-running, multi-season, like super popular, era-defining television show. What are we doing, Maddie?
We're doing Downton Abbey.
I'm so excited.
Which is like, it's the quintessential British TV show. And I'm sitting here in Italy and I'm like, yeah, I do want to watch another episode right now.
Yes. Yes. And for you, this is your first watch, isn't it?
Yeah. So I didn't watch it when it was first coming out. And I didn't pick it up because we were going to talk about it on the podcast or anything. I just finally got around to thinking, yeah, I should probably watch this. It was one of those things where you go, yeah, everyone's seen it and everyone said it's really good. I'll probably get around to it at some point. Finally decided to do so, and it was absolutely the right choice. It has been so good. It's so nice to just pick something up and be like, oh, yes, this is as good as everyone says. It was a nice feeling.
which actually doesn't often happen. Sometimes there are things that are recommended, or you think, oh, let me watch this because it's won all these Emmys or all these Golden Globes, and for some reason it doesn't quite hit right. And you think, oh, everyone else saw something I didn't. So it is really gratifying to watch something where you think, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right, well, why don't you tell me then about how and when you started watching it?
I did the opposite, which is that I was definitely there from day one. I remember the trailer being on TV. This was on ITV, which actually in and of itself, I remember thinking was unusual at the time, because it feels, in its quality, its lushness, its very, very decorated cast, like a BBC show.
Yeah.
And that is no aspersion on ITV. It is just that historically it was the BBC that was doing period drama and doing it really well.
Yeah, and then on the alternate side, you'd get Channel 4 doing more like gritty dramas or like kind of more up-to-date comedies and stuff. And it was like those were the two places you probably went for more serious TV, not so often ITV.
Yeah. ITV sometimes felt a little bit, you're right, less serious. But when the trailer was kind of coming on for this and the hype was building up to it, I just remember being shown some of the footage and thinking, there's no way I'm not going to watch that show. Like, this is...
Well, you always loved a period drama.
I love a period drama. But I remember being confused about that it didn't seem to be set. It's not a book adaptation. This is not literary a literary adaptation and period drama in that sense. It's set in a real, real time period, but it's entirely fictitious. These people did
Yeah,
not
yeah, that
exist.
is actually unusual, isn't it?
Yeah,
Normally, your period dramas are based on a book from that time or something rather than being an original story.
yeah, yeah. The historical kind of landscape and events that Downton is set against is real, and the TV show makes an attempt to maintain a decent amount of historical accuracy. Now, there'll obviously be people who actually know about history who are ready to tell me that I'm completely wrong, and that like the button on Lady Mary's dress is wrong. But it starts with the sinking of the Titanic, and then in successive seasons moves through World War One, the 20s. We get a bit of a history lesson as we go through the various seasons of Downton Abbey.
Definitely. In that way, it felt a little bit like The Crown had been influenced by
Mm.
it,
Very
in that
much.
it occasionally would touch on real historical episodes, and a specific episode would be about yeah, like the breaking out of World War One or something, which in a similar way to The Crown has done that, where it's taken specific events in history and woven those into the story.
Yes, but because the family is fictitious, unlike The Crown, where I know how each storyline is going to pan out
Go, yeah.
because of history. There is an element of dramatic suspense to Downton Abbey because you don't know who's going to live or die episode to episode.
Yeah.
It's like a total free for all, which makes it incredibly dramatic to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really good. I talking of like how the series is pan out, we're mostly going to be talking about today series is 1, 2, and 3 because that's kind of where I've got up to with my watching. And I think you kind of said those are the core first set of series anyway. But it definitely felt like the first series had that kind of historical focus more than maybe series 3 and onwards did. I think series 2 had a lot of World War One stuff in it, but series 1 had a really confusing timeline. Like it starts with Mr. Bates coming to Downton Abbey as this like person who knew Lord Grantham from I think they were together in the I guess it's the Boer
The
War or
Boer
something
War.
earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um and he starts as a new employee of Downton Abbey. And then like 4 or 5 episodes later says something like, "Oh, well, I've been working for them for like 18 months or something."
Yeah.
And it's like time in that series really different than what I was expecting. I think because I binge watched it, which is a different experience to what you
Mm,
guys would have done.
yeah.
I was kind of seeing it like I do a lot of TV shows where like each episode is like a week or a few weeks or something. Whereas actually, no, each episode was taking place over like months or like skipping forward in a way that was unexpected to me. But I guess maybe it was less unexpected when you were watching it as you would have been week on week. And that passage of time probably felt more natural.
That's definitely right. And it was, we've talked about this loads with other things. It was appointment TV, and I
Mm,
loved that. And it worked so well for Downton Abbey. And unlike some of the really nerdy fantasy stuff that I love, this was something we watched as a family.
yeah.
This was absolutely hitting the spot for every member of my family. Everyone loved it. From the minute you hear the like now, 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 everyone like rushed into the room and sat down, and the lights were off. And it also meant that there was genuine build up to things like the Christmas specials. We
Mm.
absolutely watched those on Christmas Day. And then when the films came out as well, because it's a whole thing. Like you're 3 seasons through, but my goodness, it keeps going. And and I do think there is something particularly special about seasons 1 to 3. They feel ever so slightly. They have a kind of synthesis to them that shifts, or obviously the time period alters after season 3, but also, and we're going to talk about this, there are some significant casting changes. But also, I feel like after season 3, maybe I either went to university or for some reason my viewing pattern changed. And I think, like you, I kind of ended up sporadically binge watching some of the later seasons to make sure I had caught up in time for things like a Christmas special or the movies or something like that. But I have rewatched this season, not just this season, sorry, this series a lot because I love it. It is luscious. It is quality. It's moving. How many times have you maybe cried in seasons 1 to 3?
Oh
Felt
goodness, I
very
don't
moved.
know. Yeah, quite a lot. Like it, I think that's one of the things that really works is it really like builds characters
Mhm.
and then you're moved because the characters are so well put together and
Yeah.
like you really feel like they're real people and these things are really happening.
Oh, I find some of the more upsetting storylines unbearable, because I love these characters so much. And I was reflecting on Downton Abbey and why I kept coming back for the movies or I kept wanting to watch and had to compare it to my super guilty pleasure watching a show, which is Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or as it's been rebranded to, just the Kardashians, um, who I feel like in some extremely lame way are like a weird additional family that I can sometimes slip into, and that I deeply know and care about each member of that family and their particular drama. And it's the same with Downton Abbey. Like
Yeah,
once you've spent years with Edith, you are forced to care about Edith.
it's true.
Or, once you've invested that much time in Mrs. Hughes, I'm like desperate for things to be okay for Mrs. Hughes. I care about Mrs. Hughes.
What do you think at the time was it that made it stand out and made it such a success as it was coming out at the time?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I do think there is an endless appetite for high quality period drama. I
Mm,
really do. This is somehow a genre that the British viewing public love. The Americans absolutely loved it and went nuts for it. And it is also that sort of upstairs, downstairs mix that works so well for drama, where you have got class is being examined. It is a multi-generational show and that's an endlessly interesting format. You've got very, very well developed romance narratives in there that people really can care about.
yeah.
Um, but it's also luscious, voyeuristic, and you get this look into the world of Downton Abbey that feels like watching royalty. I mean, you're watching aristocrats, but it does feel like you're in their secret haven.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
want to spend time there.
yeah.
What,
And
what do you think?
I guess what it does is it makes period dramas more accessible in a way that sometimes adapting an existing book or even history can be a little bit off-putting to people who maybe are like, oh, this is going to be a bit stuffy, this is going to be a bit
Hmm.
highbrow, whatever. And whilst Downton has all the trappings of it could be stuffy and highbrow, it like isn't. It's very, very accessible. It's welcoming because it has the upstairs downstairs bit. You've got like you can kind of put yourself in the position of either in like in an easier way. I don't know. It's just more the storylines are engaging for a modern audience rather
Yes.
than for somebody writing a book in the 1800s or whatever. And so yeah, I think it kind of it makes what looks like could be something that people find difficult to watch, like some people don't enjoy period dramas, and makes it into something that's actually engaging popular TV.
That is so true. It's taken account of our modern, like, narrative desires,
Yes.
set it in a period setting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
unlike adaptations of some, I don't know, Victorian literature or early 20th century literature that either feels very frustrating, gloomy, sometimes nihilistic. Like, if you're watching a period drama adaptation of like late Thomas Hardy or you even are watching an adaptation and they're doing another one now of Wuthering Heights, you're not there for it's not a good time. It's not a good time. It's not. I mean, interesting viewing. Whereas with this, I feel like Julian Fellows thought, I want people to feel Christmassy.
Yeah.
Or I mean, we can talk about there are occasional times where I'm frustrated and angry and downright furious with the storylines and developments in Downton Abbey. But a lot of the time, it takes into account like our tolerance level of how long a storyline goes on for.
Yeah.
It feels quite like it's on the viewer's side in terms of whose relationships we want to see flourish and prosper. The show feels quite just in in the way its kind of story arcs get resolved, with a couple of
I
exceptions.
kind of joked earlier, and this is absolutely no slight to Downton Abbey. I think it's fabulous. Um, but I do think that even within 3 seasons that I've watched, it can be the storylines can be like quite repetitive, but
Yeah.
like in a fun way. I was saying, I think I came up with the like 4 basic plots of, of Downton Abbey. One of which is someone is falling in love with someone who is below their station.
Mhm.
Um, the other one is like some kind of succession crisis. Oh, actually, I thought of the fifth one, actually. What, some kind of succession crisis. Third one, the Earl of Grantham is about to lose all of the Abbey's money, and they are going to have to like sell the Abbey, and then they somehow manage to like save and get to stay in the Abbey.
Yeah.
And two servants don't really like each other very much, and they cause like mischief to try and put the other one into some kind of trouble.
Yeah. Servant
Um,
on servant rivalry
on thermal
or
rivalry.
sibling on sibling rivalry is big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think that was it. There might have been one more, but yeah,
I have one more, but I
yeah,
have
what is
thought
it?
since we discussed this.
What is it?
A visitor comes to stay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
That is
said.
used
Oh,
on
oh,
repeat.
oh. And then no, the classic other one is someone wants to do something a little bit modern and
Yes.
other people disagree.
Yes. And an opportunity is given to the Dowager Countess to say something a little bit snippy.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. Okay, so
And,
maybe
and all of those things, it sounds like it could be formulaic, but actually what it is like having a formula like that, having a kind of safe set of like storylines and a safe set of expectations makes it really enjoyable watching.
yes, it's a bit like I mean, anyone who has listened to our probable like about 8 hours worth of recording on Buffy knows that television that has a sort of format or formula feels very rewarding and, like you said, safe to watch. Even if it's we've got another kind of monster crisis each week, I want to see Buffy and her friends fight that monster and win.
Yeah.
If a sort of another earl or member of the royal family is coming to stay, and
Yeah.
oh my goodness, their valet might have a falling out with the Earl of Grantham's valet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
watch it. Or Mrs. Patmore's cake is not ready on time.
Oh, yeah, that is true. That is true. And I guess what that does is that then when there are real moments of like something really serious and sad happens,
Mm,
it makes those things really impactful because
yes. Yes, it does.
most of the time you're just living in like normal day-to-day life.
Yes, yes, it does. There is actually one of these. Um, and I have to operate with you on this podcast in a kind of no spoilers capacity because you are where you are. But in one of the more recent films, there was a very kind of serious moment. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm not sure I can take this.
Mm.
This is this is Downton. Surely we need to just panic about like the arrangement of a cricket match again.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Oh, dear.
Shall we talk about some of these characters? Because
Yeah.
a lot of them are real household names, and the show does, at certain points throughout its life, have to exit some characters and introduce some characters. But actually, for a show that ran for a very long time, plus did a raft of movies, I'm actually relatively impressed with the stability of the cast.
Mm.
Most people stay on board
Yeah.
almost the whole way through.
Yeah.
which is another kind of I think point about wanting to watch as a viewer. The continuity of this family is very, very safe. So if we talk about some of the characters, the likelihood is everybody knows who these people are because they're pretty continuous.
Who are some of your favorites then?
Oh my God. Oh, well, there is no question that this is very much kind of the Dowager Countess's uh, show.
Yeah,
Um, and any scene is improved by her presence.
yeah,
And this is really like Maggie Smith's thing,
yeah.
who has since died. Very sad. Um, and she just looks like she's having a great time.
Yeah, she kind of elevates any scene. You know, you're just having a regular scene and then she'll say something and suddenly it becomes like a brilliant scene.
Yes, yes. And they realized that pitting the Dowager Countess against micro foes was a really good way of getting the best out of her character.
Yeah.
And so she has low level tension with Cora as a
Hmm.
sort of daughter, and as you would do with maybe your in-laws. But then it really hits the right note when Matthew's mother arrives. And
Yes.
those two, what is Matthew's mother's name? What is her name?
Um,
She's a great
uh,
character.
they just call her Mrs. Yeah, I don't remember.
Matthew's mom. We're
Yeah.
just going to call her Matthew's mom. Is a fantastic sort of thorn in her side and gives her a run for her money in a way that's just fantastic to watch. So those two as a kind of pair um, are completely brilliant.
And that's
I love them.
established right at the beginning. I guess other kind of groups of characters that are established right at the beginning. The probably the one of the main ones is the relationships between the three sisters.
Mm.
So you've got Mary, Edith, and Sybil, who are all very different characters,
Yeah,
and quite a lot of the upstairs drama comes from the differences between them and all their different goals and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to act as women in this kind of changing society.
yeah, yeah. What do you feel about the three? Did you have a favorite, or and equally, did you
Oh,
have
I
one that
don't know.
you found a
Well,
bit unwatchable?
it's interesting. I think at the beginning, Edith is really nasty to Mary. Like Edith is like really cruel in a way that like almost doesn't seem fair anymore. I'm like, would Edith really do that? Like
Mm.
she outs Mary's like dalliance with the Turkish man who died,
Yep.
which looking back on it, like that was basically unforgivable. And I
Yep.
don't, and it doesn't really fit with later series Edith in a way, but maybe she just grows and improves. Mary is super interesting because it's hard to know whether to like her or not like her. Like she can be quite a difficult person. Um, in a way that is totally different to Sybil, who's just basically always lovely all the time and always very
Yeah.
sweet. Um, and has her own interesting storyline with, becoming a bit more of an activist and
Mm.
yeah, kind of being a bit trying to push against her place in society a little bit. But yeah, they're all interesting to watch. I think that's the thing. It's not about whether anyone is more likable. Like as a person, Sybil's the most likable, but Mary's probably the more interesting. And Edith starts annoying, but I think seems more interesting to me now than she did at the beginning.
Yeah, I almost always feel a bit sorry for Edith and for Sybil because in many ways I feel they are there in the show to serve Mary, who is by far and away my favorite of the three,
Mm,
and I think one of the best developed and written female characters who was on TV at the time.
mm,
Michelle Dockery is amazing,
mm,
um, and just beautiful in a way that is very specific to the kind of camera work that they use for her as well. Like it's so beautifully shot, this show, but she has these kind of porcelain features and dark eyes that are something from like almost old Hollywood.
mm.
Um, and she's so magnificent to watch. And that is played almost as a theme in the way that other characters are completely enthralled to her.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
and
Matthew.
especially Matthew. Oh, for sure, we're going to get into that. But even oh, who is the butler? I love him. Who's the butler guy? Lord Grantham's
Carson.
butler. Pardon?
Carson. Carson.
Carson, exactly. Carson loves and adores her
Yeah.
in a different way. There is a sense that she is in some way a favorite daughter of Lord Grantham's.
Mm.
And even though she has the propensity to be incredibly cruel, incredibly manipulative, incredibly self-centered, vain, all of these things, she's a narcissist. Um, for some reason, the character balance that was developed with her just works. It's like completely correctly positioned on the fence.
Yeah.
Um, I know this is not your bag at all, but for people who do like Sarah J. Maas and Patar, she to me is like Nesta. She is
Oh
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
character, yeah, that is difficult and has some real thorns,
Mm.
but is therefore somehow really delicious television.
Yeah.
Mm. And the other two I kind of serve her. Edith is there a lot of the time to provoke her and to
Yeah.
create a sibling rivalry between the two. And it's as if Sybil's much more sugary character is there to offset her a bit.
Yeah. I think I probably agree with you about that with Edith in seasons 1 and 2. But I think they realized that she couldn't just be that for the whole time.
They did, and they needed to make that change.
And she actually comes out of herself into a more interesting character in series 3. And I think
Yeah,
even just things like they tried to make her like the less attractive sister and stuff in season
yeah,
1 and be like, oh, she's the one that's not getting any interest from men. And they put her in more like frumpy clothes and stuff. But then as once we get to like season 3, everyone's wearing more like 20s-ish clothes and she looks much better in those than she
yes,
did in the like earlier seasons. And I think they realized that they couldn't keep that up so long and they gave Edith more to do and to be her own person, which is nice.
yeah, yeah. And in this show, um, in much the same way that we have praised, they're not similar at all, but Gossip Girl and the OC, another facet of this show that makes it really work is that I'm really here for the parents' relationship.
Oh yeah.
It's like I care about Grantham and Cora and their multi-year romance quite deeply
But he is always doing stupid things. He
all the
is like
time, all the time.
endlessly like I don't know, kissing some maid or like losing their money or like being stuffy about some stupid thing that he shouldn't need to worry about. I'm like, how how is this guy like heading this family? He's just always doing the wrong thing.
Yes, it's so true. He does have a haplessness to him where the whole infrastructure of Downton, both its people and its buildings, are sort of there to prop him up in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Maybe that's the point.
yeah,
The
that's the point. Like,
commentary. Yeah.
imagine if you took Carson away from this guy
Yeah.
and Bates and Matthew and his very capable wife and his very capable mother.
Yeah.
He lost.
Yeah.
So really, Downton Abbey is about everybody else propping up Grantham and his love of his Labrador. And
Yeah.
you know, when by the way, sorry, secondary note, but when the Labrador briefly is in peril at any point, I can't take it.
There
I
was a
just can't
point
take it.
when Thomas, maybe this can be our transition into downstairs. There was a point when Thomas like locked the Labrador in a shed out
Terrible,
to try and like trick
unforgivable.
them into like him being able to find him and being like the hero or whatever. It was terrible. It was sad.
And when that storyline was happening, I thought if that dog, you know, if one little gets if it gets one scratch on its little paw, I hate you, Thomas. I'm not watching you anymore.
Well,
Like, I'm done with you.
maybe we've done characters that we like, characters that we don't like. I
Yeah.
I really struggled with Thomas for a really long time, and I probably still
Yeah.
do. Although I can see that he's interesting. Oh, I thought he was going to be one of these like villain characters that existed for season one and then like went away, but no, keeps
Oh,
coming back. He's endlessly
yeah,
coming back. And he's like, yeah, he's kind of just a bad person, but also there are occasionally storylines where I'm like, oh yeah, no, you have got more of an interesting character than I thought.
yeah.
And I keep being frustrated by it.
Yeah, yeah, there's actually a very interesting category of characters in Downton, um, who are these like almost villains. You
Yeah.
have your out and out villains. So people like Bates's wife.
Oh yeah.
You have well, you're in season four now and you've already had it, but like Anna's attacker.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you have got who else is now? Oh, like Sir Richard Carlisle. Hate, 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 hate.
Yeah.
Um, but the show gives us people in the long term, like O'Brien,
Yes.
and Thomas, who you're absolutely right. I spent most of the show hating, and then at some point thought, why are you making me feel empathy for this person? Because you are.
I know.
As some bit of my being is being asked to root for them, and I
Yeah.
don't understand why, but it's happening.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
One of the downstairs kind of duos that I do really like is Miss Patmore and
Daisy.
Daisy. They are so sweet. And like going from the beginning where she's just like a housemaid and she's not allowed to like say anything or do anything to being like she's like cooking all the like really fancy stuff and like becoming a really like amazing chef and their whole relationship is just so sweet. And again, it's like realistic. It's like sometimes it's really sweet, and then other times Miss Patmore's just like shouting at and abusing her. Like, they're not always perfect, but they clearly like grow to really care about each other and look after each other in the situation.
I enjoyed them too when it revolved around sort of brief and comedic moments of culinary peril.
Yeah.
But I really fell out with Daisy's character over the handling of her kind of micro marriage to William.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was an interesting story.
Yeah, me too, but I wasn't on her side. And
No.
then there's this whole drama she goes through with his dad, and that somehow involves Mrs. Patmore. And actually, that to me was a storyline that went on a bit too long.
It did go on for many episodes.
This
Yeah.
guilt about her feeling like, but she didn't really love William. I'm like, can we just move past this now? Like,
Mm.
either, just stop it. It got annoying.
But it probably just showed her immaturity and her like kind of sense of this like moral right and wrong, which
Mm,
most
mm.
people in the I think especially in the downstairs crew, they all have a sense of when to do the exact right thing and do what you're told and do what's prescribed to them, and other times when you need to bend the rules and do things a little differently and keep certain things a secret or not. And everyone else knows that and has learned that, and she just like hadn't. She just had this like sense of right or wrong that she hadn't learned to kind of fill in the grays a bit.
Yeah. One of my favorite, though, kind of upstairs, downstairs relationships through the whole thing, is between Mary and Anna.
Mm.
Because Mary has this really fractious, downright nasty relationship with Edith. She at times has quite a boring and even quite saccharine relationship with Sybil,
Yeah, yeah,
who of course then dies, which we'll talk about in a minute.
yeah.
Um, but I've always sensed a kind of what I would recognize as a more modern friendship between her and Anna,
Yeah,
right from the beginning of confiding in Anna and bringing her into the sex scandal with the dead Turkish gentleman.
yeah, yeah.
All the way through
Wild.
to, yeah, yeah, to like helping her with her wedding to Bates. And it showed a side to Lady Mary that I thought was really commendable and also shows a little bit of kind of not like a more devious side to Anna, a slightly like Anna gets involved in the more sexy storylines.
Yeah,
because then he
yeah.
brings her into them.
Yeah, and she has to do things that she wouldn't necessarily think is like exactly right within her job, but she'll do them anyway because she's loyal to Mary and to yeah, yeah, they have a nice relationship.
But the one who I love and who just has the power to break my heart is Mrs. Hughes. I just have a soft
Yeah.
spot for Mrs. Hughes. I love her. I for some reason find storylines with her in so moving that I almost can't watch that. I think it's the season one episode where that lovely, lovely man comes to propose to her and she turns
Mm.
him down and they go to the fair together. And I just can't watch it. It's just so sad. I don't know why. And people are like, what? What is that? That really skippable nothing storyline? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm here for anything to do with Mrs. Hughes. She is a legend.
Oh.
I want her in my life. I want her to take care of the linens.
Yeah,
I
well
love her.
she sticks up for her people, doesn't she? Whenever anyone's in a situation, she's going to be there to help them sort it out. And that can mean, again, that can mean doing things that are not necessarily like
Mm.
towing the line. Like she will cross some lines in order to help and support her people.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about the like artistry of the show, like the writing, the cinematography, the casting? Do you think this is all what makes it great? And is there any piece of it that doesn't work for you?
Oh yeah, no, I mean the cinematography, I'd say now look like it's beautiful, but it looks like we've probably seen that kind of style now more. But I imagine that at the time for TV, it was pretty much like the best you could possibly like have ever seen. And it's awesome. Casting wise, yeah, the actors are all incredible. I can't think of anyone where you go like, oh, I'm not sure about them. Like they really fit fit the roles and yeah, it's amazing. And I think the star of those three that you just said is the writing. The writing is so natural. And of course it's stylized in that it's from the time, or at least sounding like it's from the time, but everything feels like real people really saying things that, it just feels yeah, the writing is incredibly skilled.
Yeah, despite the fact that, as we have already said, it's pretty much recycling situations. It's
Sure.
basically recycling plots. It consistently is about who is going to inherit Downton Abbey, who is going to marry who, how do we protect the fortunes of these people? And it makes, I mean, I don't know whether anybody does watch Downton Abbey who has an ever so slightly more socialist agenda, but sometimes I watch it and think, oh my God, why am I really panicking about the security of the Earl of Grantham's fortune?
But
But I
I
am,
sometimes joke about that
but
because
I'm
what's his
panicking.
name? The coachman that marries Sybil, he's like a massive communist, and
Yes,
they
yes,
basically joke about it, and they he becomes the audience in that he gets sucked back into their world, and he's like, no, fight for the freedom of Ireland, and then comes back and starts wearing like black tie at Downton
yes,
dinners.
yes.
He feels a little bit bad about it, but he also comes around to realizing that that way of life isn't so bad.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm reminding myself, what, oh, Branson is his name.
Branson, yeah.
Branson. I was like, it begins with B. Is it Bill? Is Branson? Um, Another character I found a little bit annoying when, and that was it because it felt like he was not in line with the aims
He
of the
was
show.
the anti-Downton for a
It was the
while.
anti-show. Yeah, I sort of thought
Yeah,
you were spoiling my fun. Like, stop coming in here and hating on the family. I'm enjoying watching them, but at
yeah.
the same time, I'm kind of into your and Sybil's relationship. So maybe you can
Yes.
stay. But and it's only really when he gets to a point of acceptance with the family and they with him that I start to really enjoy Branson and
Yeah.
think, okay, all right, fine, you can stay.
Before we move on to our categories, shall we talk about the two major deaths in the first three seasons then?
Oh my God, yes. Oh, I just can't. I mean, yes. Um,
Which
what
can't you?
one I find very sad to the point of just like remarkable trauma, and the other one I find infuriating and
Yeah, I think
unnecessary.
everyone can guess which way round it is.
Yeah, I so in chronological order, the major first death in Downton Abbey, and it's a punchy character to kill off, is Sybil.
Yeah.
Um, to
I didn't see
depart,
it coming.
nor did I. Nor did I. And I remember this being on TV at the time. And I
Because there was an
remember us
episode
being
where they all
shocked.
got sick and Cora got sick, and I thought that she was going to die, and there was all that going on.
Ah, and Lavinia dies from her.
Lavinia dies,
It
yes.
was the first death, but maybe not. She was
No
more
one's
like,
really worried.
no, she
It's
was
sad for
chess
Matthew, but
piece.
it's not a major person that we fell in love with. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Her death really was to serve the resolution of the plot line between Mary and Matthew.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so the audience's response to the death of Lavinia, who, if people can't remember, had become Matthew's love interest and indeed fiance through
Yeah.
all of season two,
Yeah.
therefore prohibiting him resuming his relationship with Mary.
Yes.
So there was an element almost of it being quite, it's terrible, but quite cathartic when she died because
You
it
knew
was
it
an
opened up the
artistic,
possibility for Mary. Yeah.
yeah, it was an
Yeah.
artistic resolution.
But yeah,
Of
Sybil,
it.
Sybil, I just like was not expecting. I could
Nor did I.
tell they were once she started going into labor, you could tell there was something going on between the two doctors. Do you remember? There's like
Do.
the local doctor who's like, no, we need to take this really seriously, and the like doctor that again, Lord Grantham messing things up always, who brings in the specialist doctor from wherever,
Yeah.
who turns out to be completely useless and doesn't notice that she's dying.
I I feel like I actually must have buried the trauma of this. It is an episode that on my rewatches I have to confess to skipping. It's very, very visceral.
Yeah.
Um, First of all, it's remarkably sad. We just had she was a beloved character. Sybil really didn't kind of deserve to be written out of the show.
No.
And her death comes at the moment of almost her greatest joy. So it's a kind of maternity peril storyline. She dies, she gets preeclampsia and dies giving birth.
Well, yeah, she gets eclampsia because they don't treat the
That's it.
preeclampsia.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're completely right. Um, and there is something about that that is so tragic that her and Branson are about to have their daughter. Um, and to have her taken away at that moment just feels so incredibly unjust. But there's also the way that it unfurls in that episode with remarkable tension. That's it. You can tell something is wrong as she's in labor. The Earl of Grantham frustrates any attempts to help her out of snobbery. You're right. He trusts the more expensive doctor
And it's
who's
the whole
wrong.
like modern thing, like the local doctor's actually talking like about modern medicine and
Yeah.
like, you know, diagnoses of these things, whereas the snobbery old school doctor is like, oh no, natural process, blah 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 blah, like doesn't and just yeah, won't consider that there might actually be something wrong. It's another like yeah,
Yeah.
contradiction
Uh,
of what to do with how to bring in modern medical techniques into a world that doesn't really understand them.
and but the way that she dies and the way that it's shot, and I think I only watched it once and have never watched it again, but like can't forget it, is that she almost asphyxiates, doesn't she? Her body goes into kind of spasms and it it was just so visceral and shocking and horrible. And
Yeah,
I remember, I think my sister and I kind of had to watch something else afterwards just to
yeah,
recover from it. I think we put Friends on or something.
yeah.
Um, and I would almost advise just anyone that is in a like pregnancy situation themselves or who has had a baby, like I would almost say that it should come with some kind of warning. Like it's awful. It's awful to watch.
But I guess
Really awful.
for me, it's like at that time or even earlier, like it was just so common to die in childbirth. And
I
so
know.
telling that story seems very real, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
people had to move on and carry on. And that was the risk you took as a woman. And it feels honest to say, look, even if you're the most powerful people in the world, pregnancy was and is a very dangerous thing to do.
Mm.
and especially at that time. Um, and whilst it's considered natural and this thing that, everyone wanted to do, you also knew you were taking that risk. Like
Yeah.
everyone knew that.
Yeah. And I think my qualms with it are just that I found it personally really upsetting. Not
Yeah.
nothing to do with its credibility as a storyline, or in fact, I think it dramatically works in the show.
Yeah.
I have raged against various character deaths or various traumatic moments in other shows. Um, but I feel like this one was kind of the right decision to take in the writer's room. The show could withstand losing Lady Sybil,
Yeah.
and could still carry on. And it sort of felt like, while shocking, the right kind of level of drama to bring in at that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
And horrible, but yeah, artistically credible, I thought.
Unlike,
Unlike when we get to season 3, and I believe even more unforgivable the timing, I believe it's in the Christmas special.
yes, it is. It's after the end of
Oh,
season 3. Yeah.
yeah, I remember a furious Christmas day. Like, I mean, why would you do that to people on Christmas?
It
Why?
was it was
Why?
it was terrible, both because
But we should say who
it
dies.
okay, so Matthew dies in a car crash at the end of the last episode after season 3, a kind of, yeah, a Christmas specially type episode. And he has just Mary has just given birth to his son. So
Yeah,
it like was weird because it almost called back to Sybil's death, but was completely unjustified and out of the blue and like meant almost nothing because it was just this like weird situation where all this happy stuff had happened to him. He was like driving along, like, oh, my life is perfect. He's even like grinning as he's driving along, like joyous to have a son, and then suddenly just died. And it just absolutely made no sense.
yeah,
It it made immediately you were like, isn't this what just happened before? Is that we left a baby without a parent?
yep,
And like
yep.
we've
It
already
felt
done this
recycled.
storyline.
Yep,
We've also just had like the succession of Downton Abbey like like has been endlessly fraught for ages, and we've just sorted it. And what you're going to kill Matthew, who is the heir, and reopen all of that again, even though we just sorted it out by him having a son. Like it was so bizarre. It just spun up in my mind like, what? This makes no sense. And
yeah.
what's going to happen next season? It's just going to be the same thing all over again. And it just, it just was so bizarre.
I hated it, and I thought it was an artistic misjudgment, or was maybe something necessary if it was an actor who just didn't want to renew his contract and just wanted out. In which case, bad judgment call, because I can't remember that dude's name.
No, no, and it might be that. And if it was that, I guess could you have written him out a different way? Probably not, because he'd married Mary by that point. I don't know.
You're right. He had to sort of die, didn't he?
Yeah.
Um, but I I felt that it was unbalanced because the show had just spent too long asking me to invest in this kind of epic, overarching love story of Mary and Matthew that I had fully invested in.
Mm.
And I was there for the Christmas special. I wanted them to have their child. And I didn't feel like their pairing had run its course. Like, they are an interesting couple.
Yeah, it
They
only really just started.
Yeah, it had just started, and I thought there's more mileage to be got out of this in the writer's room. Even if I know we have a romantic resolution to their relationship, so we can't have the on again, off again drama. But okay, put a new romantic relationship front and center and let them assume the position of sort of like Cora and Grantham. Let them become a more interesting squabbling couple or something. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted more of them, and I feel I was robbed.
And equally, the whole concept of Downton Abbey, like from the first episode, was the idea that the Earl of Grantham doesn't have an heir, and they have to reach out to find this like cousin from the sticks to
Mhm.
bring in to become the heir.
Yeah.
and then he doesn't ever become the heir. Like,
Yeah.
well, he's the heir, but like, it's just
And it throws us back to season one's position, which is that this is effectively a dating show for Lady Mary.
yeah, yeah.
And you think,
Again,
I've done this.
we've started again. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go on to our categories.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
let's start with how badass is
No,
Downton
we have to start
Abbey.
with the thermometer. It's
Okay,
the
we can start with the
thermometer.
thermometer first. All
Well,
right.
unless there's quite a lot to talk about on thermometer, so maybe we get
Yeah,
badass
let's
out
start
of the
with
way.
badassness.
How badass is Downton Abbey? Um, so not badass at all.
No, no, not.
Oh no, it is high tea. It's
Yeah,
salted cream. It's Victoria sponge. It's champagne, darling.
yeah,
It's
no.
it's not badass. Um, but I
And
suppose,
that's okay.
and that is okay. Yeah. Um, but I do suppose it makes the one or two, and they're very small, like violent or dramatic moments stand out. Like, doesn't Matthew fight Carlisle over Mary at some point? There's a punch,
Yeah, there's a
just a
punch,
thrown.
there's a punch. And there's the whole like Mr. Bates maybe murdered his wife storyline.
I do not give two figs about Mr. Bates. So I'm sorry. To all the
I
Mr.
quite
Bates
like it.
supporters out there, I have no time for Mr. Bates. He
I quite
annoys me.
like him and Anna. I think they're an interesting storyline. Yeah, the only other badass section would be maybe Thomas gets himself in some scrapes at some point. And we do see a bit of World War One. But
Yes,
yeah,
actually, that's badass.
yeah,
The scale of the show, to give it real credit, is really ramped up in season two. The the scale of season one feels very much upstairs, downstairs. It's very Tatler. Um, season two, I feel like I'm in a war movie.
yes, yeah, especially for the first few episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of it's shot. We go to the front.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. The
oh, it's
most dramatic
horrible.
bit for that, for me, actually was Thomas. And this was another one of those occasions where I'm like, oh, you are an interesting character, where he deliberately puts his hand up over the trenches with a lighter so that his hand is shot so he can
Yeah,
leave the trenches.
yeah.
That was dramatic.
That was dramatic. I remember that. Yeah,
And he
absolutely.
spends the whole rest of the show with like a fake hand, I think, like a
Yeah,
glove.
that's right. And yet that seems like a moment where, as an audience, we're caught between trying to decipher whether this is weirdly brave or incredibly cowardly, and
Yeah,
therefore
it's both.
it's both. There's a very dramatic moment when we're unsure whether William and Matthew have been killed in a blast.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and a lot of the stories and narrative of the soldiers in World War One actually is incredibly moving.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, the show's pretty badass in that sense.
yeah.
Um,
All right, let's go on to the thermometer then.
right now, here we're going to spend some time.
Okay, you've got to give a rating. I think yours is going to be higher than mine. You start with yours.
Oh, maybe I'm giving Downton like a 45.
Okay, okay. I thought you were going to go higher from what you said about, the romance. But yeah, it's more,
It's romance. It's
it's
not
romance, it's not
hotness.
heat. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's romance. It's not. This is a very romantic show. Um,
I would
and
I would probably be only giving it around a 30 or a 40. And I think that's because to me the romance stories are probably not my favorite storylines. I
okay,
think probably
yeah,
the other storylines are more interesting to me. But yeah, I don't know. I think the ones that there are enjoyable, and yeah, definitely Matthew and Mary being the biggest one that goes over everything.
I'm such a sucker for like a main romance plot. Like, I was absolutely front and center for the Mary and Matthew epic romance. I love an enemies to lovers storyline, which we have
Yep.
to say this fundamentally is. And I want something that is multi-season. To me, it could have gone on for longer. The do they, don't they, will they, won't they get together? Um, it could have gone on. But before I talk about them at length, I also want to acknowledge that for what is a period drama show, it set the tone from the beginning because it opens with a sex scandal, and
Yeah,
I thought,
true.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this show.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Mm.
right. It does. And it was quite yeah, like reasonably explicit and not, I mean, not like physically explicit, but yeah, it was quite dramatic. And you've always got the different characters, like even Sybil's relationship and things like they do. Yeah, there are lots of romantic storylines and like who's the girl who is like a cousin of the family, the younger girl who's always like going off to nightclubs in London and stuff. Like there's always like somebody doing something slightly scandalous.
Yeah, the one who's
Um,
played by Lily James. She comes
yes,
in season 4. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Although I actually felt like the use of her character was a bit more overt, and by that point I thought this is less, not
mm,
tastefully done, um yeah, the whole thing opens with Lady Mary sleeping with Mr. Pamuk, who then dies. This is a very high octane, like almost tragicomic moment. Doesn't he like have a heart attack while they're having sex or something?
oh,
Like,
pretty much. He definitely just like dies basically on top of her.
yeah, he's like naked in her bed, dead.
Yeah,
And I remember watching this thinking, yeah, I'm gonna watch this show.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I will watch this show.
Yeah, I remember thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be more dramatic than I was expecting this show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yet what I thought was very, very clever about Downton Abbey and indicative of its quality was that sex scandal, it turns out, wasn't just a gratuitous hook to get us into the show in the early episodes. It's used through very, very clever long-term plotting for at
Mm.
least 2 seasons.
Oh yeah, it keeps coming back as important. Yeah.
It keeps coming back. It's weaponized by various characters. It creates a genuinely threatening secret at the heart of the house. Um, it and it allows Lady Mary to have very, very two very powerful scenes, both with her father and with Matthew, where you have to watch how these two men in her life treat her
Mm,
in relation to this secret.
yeah.
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really, really brilliant. But that plot point aside, okay, the show's first 2 or 3 seasons hinges around the relationship between Lady Mary and Matthew. We should say for anyone who's not watched Downton Abbey, first of all, how have you been listening to this for this long? If you've not watched it. But if you don't remember, Matthew is a very distant cousin of the Earl of Grantham, who, through various kind of quirks of a family tree, it turns out is the heir after cousin Patrick is lost on the Titanic, which is how the show opens, who was engaged to Mary.
Yeah.
So Mary is suddenly without a fiance, without a position. It was quite a neat working out of how she was going to also inherit her family home.
Yeah.
Um, and everybody is set up to hate Matthew, who is just a sort of country lawyer.
Yeah. Just a
Isn't that
regular
interesting?
guy.
Well, he's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
And Mary hates him, hates him.
And partly because everyone expects her to to want to be with him in order to get her position back, right? The
Yeah,
expectation immediately is, oh well, the neatest solution here is Mary just gets with Matthew and then everything is solved all over
yeah.
again. And she's like not going to do what everyone expects, even if it would solve all her problems.
No. And they are such a brilliantly written pairing because they play off each other wonderfully. They frustrate each other. They have banter with each other. They're a true intellectual match for each other. And I don't mean they're there like, reading Plato and stuff together, but their minds work in a similar way and they're a very good pairing. Um, and they complement one another and you see enough of that potential throughout that as an audience you want them to be together.
Well, it's
I want
also
them to be together.
it's an enemies to lovers where everyone else already knows that they should be together, right? Which is
Yes,
another trope, right? It's like everyone knows they should be together and yet they won't get together, which
yes,
is quite fun.
everyone else sees and understands their chemistry.
Yeah.
Everyone else has subtly hinted to them, surely it's you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Um,
not so subtly, often just telling them explicitly, wouldn't it be a lot easier if you two just got married?
yeah, but the show goes to incredibly long lengths to divert and frustrate this relationship. Um, season two opens with Matthew's new fiance,
Yeah.
Lavinia, whose death we have already described as quite neat,
Convenient.
very convenient. But that season, season two, which I happen to think is one of the best ones, which is the First World War season, um, is made even more poignant by the fact that Mary realizes her not just attraction but love for Matthew too late.
Yeah,
He is with someone else. And
yeah.
when he has to leave for the war, like I can't watch that scene where she says goodbye to him and gives him the stuffed animal
Yeah,
dog.
the little toy, yeah.
Anyone else who's not understanding what we're talking about is like, what the what? But she gives him like a little stuffed, like a little TY,
Yeah.
one of those silly little stuffed toys. And he loves it and he brings it with him to the war. And I just can't. This show was just like written to make me cry. Um,
But
but he is with Lavinia.
she's also not cruel to Lavinia. She's actually, I mean, she
No.
doesn't like her at first, but she actually grows to quite like her and she isn't mean to her. She's quite accepting in the end of Matthew and Lavinia's relationship, which is very mature.
Yeah, and she's prepared to enter into a loveless marriage with Carlisle,
Mm.
one of the other crossover actors who I just keep finding impossible to
Game
watch
of
because
Thrones, yeah.
he's just in Game of Thrones, as is like a decent chunk of this cast.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. Oh, it's Sajora. Okay, he's here again.
Rose Leslie briefly, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh, it's a grit.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. I think she does Game of Thrones afterwards, and I'm like, is she made in Downton Abbey? Is she the typist? Um, but I love their pairing. I love their genuine chemistry. And despite the fact that it's very bad behavior from the both of them, I love that scene where they dance in the hall and Lavinia catches them almost
Yeah.
kissing. I'm like, I need
Yes.
this. This is
Yes.
peak television. I'm on the edge of my seat. I need
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. That was good. All right, last category then. What's our obsession fuel tank? How full is it?
Wait, hang on. Wait, hang on a second. Are we moving away from tomato? What about Sybil and Branson?
Oh, they're all right.
Okay, is your
We
main
already talked
relationship?
about them. We
Is your
already talked.
main ship in this show Matthew and Mary?
Yeah, I really liked Sybil and Branson, but yeah, as you said about Sybil in general, she kind of seems like a side character even when she's having her
Mm.
own storylines.
Yes.
So I did enjoy their relationship. I enjoy like a little elopement. Like it was great
Mhm.
fun. And that was actually really fun when the other sisters like went to get her and like
Yeah.
save her from the elopement. And like again, it's like they all know that sometimes they have to break the rules in order to like make things work. And like bring her back and not tell people. And that was really nice. That was a good moment. And they were all like in cahoots together. Um yeah, I did enjoy their relationship and there's like a scene in the stables, I think, where they like almost kiss that was like nice. It's like when they're agreeing to get married. But yeah, again, like they're not they don't feel like the main point of the show.
No, they don't. No, their storyline is not given anywhere near as much screen time, despite being a very prominent one. And there is something about their pairing um, that the show asks us to buy into an interest in their relationship because it is an interclass relationship.
Yes.
And so we have the enemies to lovers storyline of Mary and Matthew, and we have a kind of rags to riches storyline in that if Branson marries Lady Sybil, he's elevated from the chauffeur to kind of a main person within their
Their
family.
family, yeah.
But still, there is something about their relationship and the speed at which it moves, and the fact that they elope against everyone's advice, where some very, very conservative part of me thinks, I don't know if this relationship's going to last.
Yeah, do you really love each other or is this just like exciting?
To me, it feels like I agree with people like the Earl of Grantham when it feels like a little bit hot-headed.
Mm.
And I think like, okay, come on, Sybil, I get it. You want the hot chauffeur. All right, cool. But like
But what
long
she really
term,
wants is to like rebel from her family.
yeah, yeah. And she exiles herself to she's gonna go live with
She
him in
goes, well, she
Ireland.
does go to live with him in Ireland, and it's all a
Yeah,
bit dramatic.
it's very dramatic. But I feel like if I had been her friend or her sister, I could have just heard myself being like, now, Sybil, come on.
Mm. But
Um,
equally, she is the kind of character who was able to live a much more down to earth normal life. Like she very clearly like was very capable as a nurse during the war. She got like she didn't just like help out like some of the upstairs people did. She actually like trained and had a real
hmm,
job and whatever. And she took that very seriously. And then when she did go to Ireland, it sounds like, yeah, she just lived a very normal working class life with a baby, like, well, not even with a baby yet, um,
yeah,
with her
yeah.
husband, and she was able to go from the heights of like high society to a normal life and genuinely be content and happy with it, whereas most of the other characters would never have been able to survive that.
Yeah, my red flag about their relationship actually wouldn't have been coming from her.
Mm,
It was that I found that Branson at times took way too much issue with the family,
mm,
and that he found it repeatedly kind of unpalatable to have to wear a suit
yes,
or, and it just kept him away
dinner and like,
from
yeah,
dinner. Yeah, and I thought, just pipe down, like
yeah,
wear the suit. You look good in it.
yeah.
Like, but
Mm.
my worries or forecasts about their relationship probably would have been based um, off of that. Um, oh my God, these people aren't even real. This is how invested I was and I am in this show. But whatever, she dies. So,
Uh,
you know,
all
that
right.
into that.
Let's go on to our last category then. How much obsession fuel is there in the tank?
Oh my God. I mean,
Percentage
so
of a tank full.
so it's like half a tank full in the sense that there is not a lot of kind of this is not like some of the things that we like where there's mythological depth. Um,
You're
but
not buying loads of merch.
we're not buying loads of merch, no. And we're mainly because like what would the merch be? Like diamond tiaras? Like I wish. Like
A few
I'd love to buy
gowns.
the merch. Yeah, give me the merch, but I can't get it. But we also have to acknowledge that this is an incredibly long running show that I have to say maintained its quality.
Yeah.
Um, it produced multiple films. The hype around which was very high. This occupies an almost heritage position in British television
Yeah.
and feels like watching something quintessentially English as much now as like Downton Abbey is like Fortnum and Mason
Yeah.
or it's that kind of it's like that sort of export. The Americans loved it.
And you said you've
Loved it.
rewatched it regularly.
Oh, I've rewatched it and I have made boyfriends watch it. If someone hasn't watched it, I'm like, you're in for a good time. Like,
Mm.
enjoy. Like you're watching it.
Yeah.
When you said you were going to watch it, I was like, oh, Maddie. I mean, how have I not suggested this already? Like, you're in for a great time. Like, enjoy yourself. And it will be nice when like you're watching it and we're recording this in the summer. But if you continue watching it into sort of the winter season, oh, it's so deeply edible. So nice. Like you're having a limoncello now, but this is something to be had with like, some nice mulled wine. Uh,
Yeah.
but it has also been well received by anyone that I have kind of shared it with, who's also thought, oh yeah. I mean, you can't dislike it. Who dislikes this show? Who?
Do, do you think it's still something that people are picking up and watching nowadays? Do you know of people like apart from myself that like do you think people now would be like, oh yeah, I'll go back and watch Downton Abbey?
I don't know. I'm aware of your rewatching it. It briefly flashed up on my one of my streaming channels the other day. Maybe it was Amazon Prime, where I
It's
thought,
on Netflix at the moment.
oh, okay, good. Or something where I thought, okay, this is now going to be accessible to maybe an audience that missed it when it was on ITV. Or, I mean, it's indicative of the age of this show that I own the box sets. I have the DVDs of these. And not only do I have it season by season, but I then for some reason also repeat bought. Maybe I thought I'd lost some of the DVDs. I then have like the complete collection of the films. Why did I do this? It's now on streaming channels. But no, I do think it is still popular, and there's appetite for this because look at The Crown, which you rightly described earlier, has become almost the replacement show for people who were inclined to watch this kind of television before. So for sure, yeah, I think it is going to continue to be popular. And I don't think there's any more films. I think it's done now. I think it's wrapped up, is my understanding of it. The last film was very recent to me. So this really has outlived the technology it was first released on. And for some of these actors, I think they will be forever associated with this show. And in a good way. And what do you think? Do you give it as obsession fuel?
Yeah, I would say probably similar. It's no, it's probably less of an obsession fuel for me, maybe like a third tank or something like that. I think it's not something that I yet have that full obsessive feeling for, because I've only watched it like really quickly and really recently. But I also appreciate the level of the level that it has in our culture, and like everybody recognizes the name, everyone knows it, and rightfully so. Like as we said at the beginning, it's like it's worthy of that status within British TV. It's been really enjoyable. So yeah, I can't wait to continue watching more and see what happens to all our favorite characters.
Before we wrap this up though, Maddie, what do you, as someone who is partway through season 4, which means you've got a chunk to go, what are your hopes for Downton Abbey? What do you want to see happen? If you were given the pen, what do you want?
But what I want to happen and what makes good TV is very different.
That's what's great about Downton. It's often not. Like it does
maybe. But I'm like, can't we just have someone be a consistent heir for this house so that there is stability through the generations? That is what I want.
No, there would be no show.
I know.
No. Yeah, like can't we just have an heir for Downton Abbey? Well, okay, we wouldn't even have had episode 1.
Yeah, but now
they would not exist. Oh, I see. Right, you mean like by the time you're in season 4, you're like, can we just resolve that?
Resolve that.
Not thing. Mary's son? Is it not like?
No, at the moment, because they're worried that like Mary, because it would skip all the money would skip Mary, it would go straight to her son, but her son, like there's some argument about whether Lord Grantham or Mary is like custodian of the money.
You're right. Bloody
it's
hell,
like a disaster.
Even when you explain it, I'm fatigued by the sound of the storyline. You're right. I have blocked that out in my head. Get it.
No, I think what I want from it really is to continue in kind of it pitter-pattering along with similar kinds of storylines and like just edging ever so more into the 1920s and beyond, and just telling me more about how this kind of world would have existed at that time. And and
to take the place of the show where after a hard day's work you think I could spend some time here. I'll put that on. All right, next episode,
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and on that note, I will see you again soon, Maddie, for our next episode. You've been listening to the Fangirl Diaries. Follow us on Instagram at Fangirl Diaries Pod.
And do share us with any of your friends that you think might enjoy the podcast, and rate or review us on Spotify or Apple Music.